All right, so today we're going to tackle a big one, the Swiss public school system. It's often described as this giant puzzle. So let's dive right in and try to piece it together, because it's known for being both incredibly high quality and, let's be honest, a little bit complex.
So, have you ever looked at the Swiss school system and just felt completely overwhelmed? Yeah, if that's you, trust me, you are not the only one. For so many families, especially if you're new to Switzerland, it can feel like this massive, complicated maze. You've got different options, different timelines, and everything changes depending on where you live.
And that quote really hits the nail on the head. It might look like this crazy jigsaw puzzle when you first see it, but it actually works, and it works really well. Think of it this way. All those confusing pieces, they're designed to fit together perfectly. So what we're going to do in this explainer is hand you the corner pieces of the puzzle first, so you can start to see how the whole picture comes together. Okay, so let's start with those corner pieces I was talking about, the public school promise. Where else would we start? We have to begin with the foundation, right? Understanding why pretty much everyone chooses the public system is the key to unlocking everything else. And the first thing you really need to wrap your head around is just how dominant the public system is here. Take a guess. What percentage of kids go to public school? It's 94%. A staggering 94%. That is not an accident, That's by design. And it tells you everything you need to know about the quality and the trust people have in it.
So why is it so incredibly popular? Well, when you look at the benefits, it's kind of hard to argue with. First off, it's free, and not just no tuition free. Often things like school supplies, even computers are provided. The quality is top-notch, genuinely world-class. It's also probably the best way for families to integrate into their local community. Plus, multilingualism is a huge deal. It's baked right in. And if a student needs extra help, learning support is there for them. It's part of the package.
Okay, but here's where we hit that first layer of complexity we talked about. There isn't just one Swiss school system. Nope, there are 26 of them. Each of the 26 cantons runs its own show, its own education system. And that means things like when school starts, how it's structured, even some curriculum details. It all depends on your zip code. So the most important takeaway here is your local canton is your ultimate guide.
All right, next up, the compulsory school journey. Let's trace the path that basically every single child in Switzerland follows. We're going to walk through the 11 mandatory years of school that really form the backbone of the entire system.
So, how does it work? Well, the journey kicks off with 2 years of kindergarten, usually starting when a kid is about 4 or 5. After that, they move into 6 years of primary school. And then, for the final stretch of mandatory school, from age 13 to 15, they go to what's called lower secondary school. So you add that all up, and you get 11 years. That's the compulsory part for everyone, and it really sets the stage for everything that follows. Okay, now for a really key moment in the system, the age 12 crossroads. What happens after primary school is decided right around this time, and honestly, this is the part of the system that probably causes the most confusion, and maybe even a little anxiety for parents. So let's break this down carefully. The central idea here has a name. It's called ability streaming. Sounds a bit technical, right? But all it really means is that after primary school, students are guided into different tracks or groups for their lower secondary years, and this is based on their academic performance and their general aptitude. So the big question is, how is this decision made? Well, you guessed it, it depends on the canton. In some places, it's all about a student's grades, plain and simple. In other cantons, the teacher's recommendation is a huge factor. And then you've got places like Zurich where there's an actual entrance exam. More often than not, it's some kind of combination of all these things.
Now, I know what you might be thinking, especially if this is a new concept for you. Doesn't this limit kids? But the philosophy behind it is actually the complete opposite. The goal here is to put students in an environment where they can really succeed, to let them learn at a pace that's right for them, and to let them play to their unique strengths, whether those are academic or more hands-on.
And that brings us to the next big step, the pathways after age 15. So, after those 3 years of lower secondary school, at around age 15, compulsory education is over. And this is where the puzzle really starts to form a clear picture, as students fan out onto a bunch of different paths.
And this, right here, is probably the biggest surprise for anyone not familiar with the Swiss system. What's the most popular path? It's not the one that leads directly to university, not by a long shot. Get this, about 2/3 of all students, a whopping 65%, choose a vocational education path. Only about a quarter of students go down the purely academic route, which is called gymnasium.
So what exactly is the difference between these two main paths? Well, think of the gymnasium as your traditional academic high school. It's all about theoretical knowledge, and its main job is to prepare you for university. The VET path, on the other hand, is this incredible dual-track system. You're combining the hands-on apprenticeship at an actual company with classes at a vocational school. It's designed to prepare you for one of, get this, over 250 different specific jobs. And I really want to pause on this VET system because it's truly the crown jewel of Swiss education. It is absolutely not seen as second best or a lesser option. It's a highly respected direct path to a skilled profession and, importantly, to financial independence. I mean, students are getting real work experience, they're earning a salary while they learn, and they graduate with a federal diploma that employers absolutely love.
Okay, so let's bring it all home and talk about why this complexity is actually a strength. Remember how we started with that feeling of an overwhelming puzzle? Well, I hope by now you're starting to see that all that complexity, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's the whole point.
There's a saying in Switzerland that just captures the spirit of the system perfectly. There are really no dead ends. And that's because it's true. Someone who does a VET apprenticeship can absolutely go on to university later. A student can move from one track to another if it's a better fit. The whole system is designed to be permeable. It's full of bridges and pathways connecting all the different routes.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought, this question to chew on. Is the system's greatest weakness actually its greatest strength? Because that complexity, the very thing that seems so daunting from the outside, is precisely what allows it to cater to this incredible diversity of talents and interests. It's what makes sure there's a respected, valuable, and successful path for every single kid, no matter if their future is in a university, a skilled trade, or the arts. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most important piece of the entire puzzle.